What is up, everybody? Josh here again, and today we have a new Icarus video for you. Today we're going to be going over 10 things that we wish we would have known sooner for the brand new DLC and map, Elysium and Dangerous Horizons. Let's get into it, shall we? The very first thing that we're going to be going over is the orbital exchange, and the fact that you can actually not drop a single thing down without a new advanced orbital exchange in the new Elysium map. Building right next to Eden is allowed, so you can actually build right next to Eden. And the reason why you may want to do so is because inside of Eden here, they have a OEI. It's located right here in the very middle of Eden, and you can actually use this as much as you want to, and it's just a regular OEI. So basically, if you want to bring down items and things, mounts, all that good stuff, you can go ahead and bring down your mounts and all that good stuff, which you probably want mounts in this map for sure, so you could traverse stuff quite easily. It is quite easy to build next to Eden. The only other thing I will mention about Eden and right here in the desert is that trees are kind of sparse in this area, so you don't have a lot of trees around in the area for building. But once you first build here, you're going to have a little bit of trees to get you started. Probably going to want to either bring down some wood and or make you one of these fantastic devices. This is the localized terraforming device, which regrows trees. So you can go ahead and trigger that device and regrow your trees whenever you need to respawn those. But otherwise, you can build an advanced orbital exchange anywhere on the map. As far as a beacon, electronics, plastic, composites, and titanium plate. Of course, plastics requires you to have one of these bad boys, the Pulmonizer, I can't pronounce this right. Anyway, this is the Pulmonizer, that's what I'm going to call it, and that is a tier 5 device, which means you're going to have to make a manufacturer. So you're going to have to go all the way up to tier 5 just to make an advanced orbital exchange. So if you wanted to kind of just skip that, or if you wanted to have an OEI before you want to build right next to Eden or close to Eden, you don't have to build right next to it, and you'll have an orbital exchange inside there until you get one of your own. So yeah, no OEI until you get to the advanced orbital exchange, and or you use Eden's orbital exchange to kind of piggyback on their own device. The second tip I'm going to give you is to go ahead and follow the missions. You definitely want to follow the missions down the middle. The middle are the main missions in the new map, Elysium. Go to operations. You're going to notice that we haven't done them all. Of course, not yet. But these are missions that lead you into different areas. The first one here, of course, Lost, will lead you to where we are currently, Eden. There's other missions out there that will give you complete concrete bases. Once you complete them, we got this concrete base here started with the pieces. We actually ended up finishing it with our own, but you could get like full concrete bases. You can get all kinds of stuff following the operations on the map. So doing the missions is very valuable. You'll get a nice full concrete starter base. You'll get all kinds of nice things. You can pick the stuff up after you complete the missions, unless you have where it deletes the items after the mission, but I probably wouldn't do that. Just pick it up, use it for yourself, but definitely do the quests down the middle here for free stuff and things. The next thing I'm going to mention is Raptors are extremely overpowered, in my opinion. They are a great mount to have, and they actually are faster than MOAs whenever you upgrade them. This Raptor is almost level 50, and it has some great melee damage. We want to go into the Ember evolution. That plus 25 fire damage actually it works quite well on the Raptor, as well as the melee attack speed as well, the speed he attacks. This right here is probably one of the greatest things about the Raptor. Every single time you kill something, if you go 3 points in this endless hunger, it will heal your Raptor for 30% of its HP, which is so good. That means basically you kill 3 things and you can almost heal your Raptor up completely. And of course, whenever your Raptor attacks, it attacks in a frontal cone, so you can actually tank multiple enemies at a time as well. It can also have plus 200% health regeneration with nurtured recovery, and you can also use less stamina consumed by sprinting with marathon and have maximum stamina increased by natural endurance, and 20% stamina regen with roaming vitality. With racing ready, you can increase your movement speed by 10% and increase your sprint speed by 20% as well with quickened pace. Now with all these right here, we also are going into fall damage because they do seem a little bit squishy when it comes to falling off cliffs, so you want to make sure that you don't take your Raptors off cliffs. But with that sprint speed and movement speed, and also having some pheromone modules unlocked, you can go super fast with the Raptor. And with those pheromone modules and all the upgrades, we also have some buff foods on, and that's stamina regeneration and max stamina, and maximum health and health regeneration. And we're going to show you how fast this bad boy, he can go so insanely fast. And I have tested him versus a fully upgraded level 50 MOA, and you can go so much faster than a MOA on the Raptor. As well as the combat, we'll take a look at the combat here. Here's one of these little, I don't know what they're called. They're called a trap jaw. They're kind of annoying, to be honest with you. These things, even with protected hits, you can really destroy you a trap jaw really fast. And you can see our mount's going to heal up completely after he destroys it. I've gotten this thing into some really hairy situations and gotten out of them with full HP. The only downside of Raptors is that the Raptors really does not have storage. So if you're looking for something that has a lot of storage, you can either do the skills for storage on the Raptor, which I'm not going to do unless I just have to later. But you could do an extra 4 slots in weight capacity. That's going to give it a grand total of 8 slots if you wanted to upgrade it. So it's really not a carrying beast, but definitely is a good combat beast. And it's also a very fast mount. It is the fastest mount in the game, if you ask me. So you definitely don't want to be sleeping on Raptors, because Raptors are really good in this game. You can use them on the horde modes. You can use them on the extraction of uranium. Now you may be asking yourself, Josh, I can't ever find a Raptor baby. Raptor babies are kind of rare, especially if you're not looking in the right spot. So there are a few different areas I'm going to show you that I found Raptor babies, and quite plentiful, to be honest with you. Down here at this connector cave, where you go and connect the other 2 biomes down south, here in the bottom right corner of F9, there's actually quite a few little Raptor baby spawns right there. Also, in the kind of higher biomes, like this one right here, the geological biome, just kind of north of F5, up in this area right here, there's a ton of Raptor babies and Raptors we found. This is actually where we found most of our Raptor babies and Raptors. So up in this area, up in the geological zone, around D2, 3, and 4 is where we found most of our mounts. And that's where we can get a breedable pair and go ahead and breed them off. So we've been breeding them as well. One of the more annoying things on this map is drones. Of course, Raptors can't kill that. So we're going to show you the weak spots of the drones. Basically, you're going to be shooting for these little propellers on the side. And the little side propellers, not the back one. The back one doesn't seem to be the best, but the one on the side is the one that you definitely want to be shooting for. So if we're going to bring out our shotgun, we like using the shotgun on it. You can use whatever you want, but basically what you do is you just shoot it on the side, and you can usually one-shot a drone. We're using the Chak shotgun and the 12-gauge slugs right now, but you can usually just sit there and one-shot drones if you hit that propeller on the side. Either side, doesn't matter. Also, don't forget to go down and loot the drone unless it despawns. The drone will have lots of nice, valuable resources like active lithium, steel, some bullets, copper wire, electronics, just random materials that you actually use. But yeah, you just sit there and you can do a stealth attack, and right before they attack you, you can stealth attack and shoot that side propeller, and that's going to help you kill drones much faster. The next thing we're going to talk about is radiation, and you can notice radiation on Icarus if you see a large yellowish cloud around something. This right here is our bunker, and there's a few items that we're going to talk about as far as radiation goes, and you want to keep those away from your main base, and that is going to be the centrifuge. So you want to make sure your nuclear centrifuge is away from the base, because you're going to be putting raw uranium in there. We're going to have a full uranium guide coming out sometime here in the near future, but we're just going to shortly go over the uranium and how radiation works in the game. This is really just for show. We're going to show you the second device as well, which is a nuclear reactor around back. But the nuclear centrifuge, it is something that processes that raw uranium into 3 different things. It does have radiation around it, so just keep that in mind. So does any of the radioactive waste or rods. All those items are uranium based, so you want to probably have like a little shelter or shack around the side of your base, away from your base, because they do emit radiation constantly. Also, whenever your nuclear reactor is going, whenever you have that up and running, which we don't have currently, we've sent up all of our rods because we wanted the currency, which actually consumes 1 uranium rod every 3 hours. Yes, 1 rod per 3 hours of 100,000 power. You can have 100,000 power for a nuclear reactor. and that is the cost of running the nuclear reactor, but it actually does have radiation as well. So that is the long and short of keeping your radiation items away from your main base so that you're not always getting radiation poisoning. Now, the second thing we're going to mention about radiation poison is that there's different levels of radiation poison. If you look in the bottom left corner of our screen here, and whenever you bring up your effects here, it's going to show you different effects. So basically you have 3 different levels of uranium poisoning. So the very first stage of radiation exposure is just called radiation exposure. It's when you're down below the very first radiation mark here, and it says slight exposure to radiation. As exposure increases, you will gain negative effects. So really there's no negative effects unless you get past this first level. And once you get past that first level or right on it, you're going to get mild radiation poisoning, which is going to reduce your HP and stamina by 20%. Then you're going to go ahead and go past that to the second level, and we'll show you what that is. Now we have the second level of radiation poisoning. It's called acute radiation poisoning, and it reduces your HP and stamina by 50%. So we're going to go to the third level and show you that as well. And after we do so, we're going to show you how to counter radiation and how to remove radiation. And the final level is terminal radiation poisoning, and it reduces your HP and stamina by 80%. You're almost lost your complete HP bar and your stamina bar with terminal radiation poisoning. So can you die from radiation? The answer is no, and I'm going to show you that. We're going to let this radiation bar right here fill up all the way and some, and show you that you actually cannot die from radiation poisoning, but you can still have the terminal radiation poisoning, which is basically a death sentence if something hits you. Negative 80% health and stamina is pretty bad. Actually still stay alive as long as you're not getting hit. You can stay alive in the radiation zone or radiated zone. Radiation itself will not kill you. And you can see here at the bottom of our screen, our radiation bar is completely red, completely full. The only thing you'll see is that you will get some kind of yellow hue around your screen, kind of like a yellowish hue. That's the only thing bad that will happen, except for the 80% reduction in HP and stamina. So we're going to show you first off how to get rid of radiation and then how to counter radiation. So radiation does not go away naturally by itself. You do have to actually use items to get rid of radiation. And there's 3 different items that we're going to show you to actually do so. The very first thing we're going to show you is in tier 3, and that's the anti-radiation transfusion, one of my absolute favorites. It removes radiation slowly in the body for 10 minutes. So basically you take one of those, it takes meat, tree sap, charcoal, salt, some water, and some truffles. So growing truffles is highly advised in the new biome. The next item we're going to show you is a tonic unlocked in tier 2, and right here above the gargantuan frenzy tonic, you're going to see the anti-radiation tonic, which requires mushrooms, organic resin, and charcoal. It's a little bit worse in my opinion, slowly removing radiation, but it still lasts for 10 minutes. You can actually combine the 2 together to get rid of radiation quite fast, and then those are the ones that you could craft. They are both of course crafted at the herbalism bench, or respectively the medicine bench. We can use the medicine bench for the anti-radiation transfusion. This one's probably the one you want to definitely carry around at least. I carry around both of them. There is one more item we're going to show you, and it does require you to unlock with currency, the new currency, titanium rods. So you have to have titanium rods for the missions or from extracting raw uranium and processing it, and it's underneath consumables here. And it's right here, the anti-radiation injection. It instantly removes a large amount of radiation exposure, and it removes it fast, the X-radiation injection. And it requires 150 uranium rods, which you can get from missions quite easily, and then 25 rend to craft. So we're going to go ahead and research that and bring it down and show you how much that removes. The first 2 we're going to show you is the anti-radiation tonic. It's the lesser of all of them all, and you get that 10-minute buff right here. We're going to show you here once we scroll over. You get the slowly removing radiation Rad X tonic, and you'll notice that your radiation will go down very slowly for 10 minutes. Like I said, I like to combine that with the anti-radiation transfusion. Doing both of them at the same time is actually quite advisable, because if you do have some anti-radiation devices like the rad suit, which we're going to show you here in just a minute, plus these 2 tonics running at the same time, you pretty much won't get radiation. Unless you're physically handling raw uranium, you won't get radiation, actually. So we have both of those, and you can see that our radiation is going down ever so slowly, and it will do so for about 10 minutes. So with these 2 items right here, and just kind of setting AFK, you're going to have to probably use them 2 to 3 times, maybe 4. I don't know exactly how much it is. You're going to have to keep applying those buffs every 10 minutes until your radiation reaches 0. Or if you have the tonic that we unlocked in the workshop, all you have to do is click on them, right click, and consume. And you can see a lot of the radiation just got removed from our bar. So we're going to just do that a few times, and they're going to remove radiation from our body. Looks like 4 of them will do your whole entire radiation bar. So now we have no radiation at all. The tonics are the cheapest way, of course, and if you just wanted to make those planet side, you can do so. But you can also drop down the anti-radiation tonics from the workshop and get rid of it completely. So that is how you get rid of radiation. Now we're going to go ahead and show you how to prevent radiation. Of course, using the 2 tonics that I mentioned before, these radiation tonics and the transfusion together is quite a good way to prevent radiation from piling up on you quickly. There's also a mission that you want to do whenever you first start doing Elysium, and that mission is going to be underneath operations here, and it is Nexus. Nexus is going to unlock the hazmat suit, and this is the very first item that you can get. There are other sets of armor that does do radiation resistance, but the very first one is Nexus, and it is one of the better ones to craft. It is very expensive with platinum weave. You have to have tons and tons of platinum weave, over 100 some I think per set of platinum weave. But once you get a hazmat suit like this right here, then you can go ahead and put that on, and that will go ahead and reduce the amount of radiation that you get whenever you're in irradiated zones or your own irradiated zone, whatever. You can go ahead and put the whole hazmat suit on, and that will reduce the amount of radiation you get whenever you're in a radiated zone. So we're going to go ahead and just sit over here for a little while and show you that we aren't really getting radiation when we have all 3 of those on. If you have a lot of items, say for example, you have radioactive waste, you have a ton of raw uranium, you have rods on you all at the same time, it's going to increase the amount of radiation you're getting. But with that, you can go ahead and slow the amount of radiation you get with those 2 tonics, the tonic and the transfusion, and of course the radiation suit. And of course, if you wanted to carry an anti-radiation injection in case you go over the very first level of radiation poisoning, then you could just click on it and use it whenever you get to that point. There are also modules. We'll show you the modules here shortly. The modules are unlocked for 100 uranium rods and crafted for 50 Ren a piece, so they're actually quite cheap, and they also do not have what they call DR, or diminishing returns. So if you were to have a Enviro suit that holds 4 module slots, you can have 4 radiation protection modules, which is going to increase your radiation resistance by 100. I don't know if that's an intended feature or if it's just a bug currently in the game, but you can actually unlock this and bring down 4 of those modulars. For example, if you have the Huller suit, which is the suit that we usually use that uses the 4 module slots, you can go ahead and bring those radiation resistances down and put those into your slots, and that's going to help you a ton with reducing the amount of radiation you get. Long and short of it, you can get rid of radiation, you can counter radiation, and radiation doesn't kill you if you get it all the way. It just reduces your stats. The next thing I'm going to show you is to bring lots and lots of aluminum ramps, or ramps in period. You can use whatever you want. I like to use aluminum ramps because they're very, very lightweight. You can put them in one of these small pouches. I use a lot of these small pouches because they're really, really great to keep your inventory kind of cut down. You don't have to use modules to increase your inventory or any of the alterations. You can use different ones, but you can use a lot of these aluminum ramps. We're going to make a ton of these aluminum ramps because there are lots of areas around the map that you're going to have to traverse up mountains, down the side of mountains. There's cliffs, there's holes, there's everything everywhere. Crevasses. This map is kind of full of all those obstacles. So you want to keep you at least a stack or 2 of aluminum stuff on you at all times. We do have a little bit right here we're going to show you. We just kind of keep a little bit of aluminum pieces, some floors, and some ramps, and some walls as well, just in case we want to make a structure. But we put them in a bag. They're very, very lightweight. See, that's only 1 kilogram for that, 0.4 for that, and for 1.6 for the aluminum ramps. They're very, very lightweight, and they do last quite a bit in the biomes, so you want to use aluminum ramps to reverse, and I'll show you the reason why. One prime example of that is right here, where you have to kind of ramp up this ice wall, and that's in the Arctic up here in the north. There's lots of Arctic areas that you have to actually ramp up. I haven't explored the whole map, but over in this area right here, there's a lot of ramping you have to do. There's a lot of ramping to go to certain places. Right here, you have to ramp up. You go up the side here and ramp a little bit. So there's right here also where one of our bases is. There's like rock walls that are really hard to get up. So yeah, definitely want to carry around as many ramps as you can. And then of course, just place them on the rock walls and you can traverse those rock walls. So the next tip is to get your titanium, platinum weave, and oil and all that good stuff going as soon as possible, because you're going to need a ton of it. When you start making the new benches in the expansion, you're going to notice that they're going to take a ton, and I do mean a literal ton, of titanium plate. There's also a lot of gear that you can craft, and all that gear is going to take hundreds of platinum weave as well. So you definitely want to get your platinum going and your titanium going. So 2 ways to do that real quick. One way is using the miasmic route, which we do a combination of both. Actually, we use the Icarus night pickaxe, which you can unlock in the workshop, which gives you a 100% chance of getting noxious crust, and the noxious crust of course can be cleaned in the organic residue cleaner right here, and you could just sit there and basically print mats that way. Doing the miasmic route is one of our most favorite ways of doing this. You can also do deep veins, and we have tapped several deep veins across the map. You can see all these little ore nodes: silica, sulfur. We have 2 titaniums, one right there, titium, and then 1 titanium right here. So we have titanium tapped, we have platinum tapped. We have to have that because you need a lot of platinum weave. I think the nuclear reactor was about 80 titanium plates itself. The pulverizer is actually 20, so it's a little bit cheaper, but for the actual bench itself, the manufacturer, it requires you to have 10 titanium plates. So those are the 2 cheapest ones. The oil refineries do require quite a bit. Crude oil generator, it requires 35 per generator. If you do the generator, of course, we don't do that. The refiner costs 20 titanium plate. The pump jack requires 10 titanium plates apiece. And of course, the centrifuge, it requires 40, and the reactor requires 80. So you're actually using a lot of titanium plate. You just got to make platinum sheath, and then of course with fiber and or spider silk. Spider silk, of course, you can find at caves, and that makes platinum weave. And you need tons of platinum weave. I think it's like 100 plus just for the radiation suit that we mentioned earlier. There's quite a few different suits that you could actually make, but as you can see, they require a ton of platinum weave. And you also want to get oil going, and we're going to explain how to do oil as well here very shortly. But you need oil as well in the pulverizer here to make lots of synthetics, plastics, all that good stuff. So you have to have oil to do so, and there's several different ways to do oil. The first way we're going to show you is with this device right here, the organic extractor. The organic extractor, you can throw plants, food, just junk, whatever you want to throw in there. Spoiled meat, you could throw in actual veggies, you could throw in meat that's about ready to expire, you could throw in any kind of organic material, and it makes it into biofuel. And then what you do is you take the biofuel pipe tool right here and you connect it to this device to another refinery. So this actually is half of the extraction process for oil. So you could do oil right at your base. You could go and connect this. We just put this one outside because it's really large. The first one does have to actually be sheltered, so you do have to have this inside your base. The organic extractor has to be inside your base, but you throw all that organic material in. It does require 1500 power for it to run, and what it does is it shoots out biofuel to this device right here called the natural oil refinery. And what you do is you put a barrel of oil in there, any kind of barrel or can of oil, and what it will do is start converting biofuel to oil. And all you have to do is pipe it. You can see that it's been piped right there, straight from that device to this refinery. And we're just going to take a oil barrel here, a G-slot item. You could craft that in the manufacturer, of course, and we're going to throw that into the refinery. It is a much slower process, if you ask me, than just pumping with pump jacks, which we're going to show you here very shortly. But you can throw it in there. It's going to take the biofuel and convert it to oil. You can see that oil is slowly going up, and it's filling up this oil barrel with oil. And that's one way you can get oil at your base, by using junk. The second way is using pump jacks and refineries and finding an oil vein. You may be asking yourself, Josh, why do I have to do oil? Because everything in tier 5 requires oil. Maybe not everything, but a lot of things require oil in tier 5 to make some of the more advanced materials. You definitely need oil. You can also make epoxy quite efficient with oil. So here is our oil field. Usually you'll see like spurts of oil just shooting up out of the ground. That means that you have found yourself a nice oil place. Just kind of be careful of the United States government. So we're going to go ahead and show you how the process works. We have a oil refinery here off to the side, and you also need one of these tools right here, and I'll show you what that's called. It's called the crude oil piping tool. That's the tool that you use to pipe all this stuff together. But what you have to do is you have to power up some pump jacks. You could do multiple pump jacks to one refinery, and that's actually quite advised just to do. Usually it comes in like three different oil spots. But your pump jack, what it will do is it will send crude oil to your refinery through the pipe tool. So you place down your pump jacks, power them up. We've got some solar panels and some windmill there going on. And then you can connect them all three together. We have 3 of them here, so you can connect all of them together and put them to your oil refinery. And then what you have to do is you have to put a barrel or can inside of your oil refinery, and it will sit there and fill up your oil barrels. So make oil barrels, you can have up to 5 per refinery. So we're going to go ahead and take one of the full ones, take it home for us so we can use it. And you'll have oil barrels that you could use in your pollenizer and other different various recipes. So like the chainsaw and all that good stuff, which we're going to be going over here very shortly. And the lithium tools, those are really good to have, and those require oil for you to actually craft. So oil is definitely something you want to tap. We just kind of have a battery sitting here. So it's 24/7, 2 batteries actually, and a solar panel and a windmill. Some very, very simple organization here, and an animal deterrent, which doesn't seem to be working quite well, actually. It's because it's off, apparently. But yeah, we have this operation going, so you just basically plop down pump jacks, connect them with the tool to your refinery, and then put an oil barrel in your refinery, and you are good to go. Just collect the oil after it gets filled up. And then you could take that oil and you could go and make different stuff and things with it. There is technically a third way to get oil, and that is to drop down oil canisters. There are oil canisters in the workshop that you can drop down. I mean, I don't really suggest them, to be honest with you. If you go underneath deployables and go over to the MXC oil refinery canister here, you can unlock it for 100 uranium rods. You're going to have to do some missions at least to get those uranium rods before you do oil. But if you wanted to, you could just drop down MXC refined oil canisters and use those. I personally like to farm it myself, but it's completely up to you. You can sit there and unlock that right there and drop one of those down. But that is another way for you to get oil. But that is definitely a much faster way of getting oil instead of having to go and refine it. You can pipe oil all the way to your home, but I've noticed that if you go multiple blocks away, sometimes it'll bug out the lines and stuff like that in Icarus. And the last thing I'm going to mention is the tools that you get with this expansion. The tools are actually quite good. And I do mean the tools, not maybe the weapons, not necessarily, but if you look at them, you see the stats aren't that great. There are very good reasons to use the lithium axe. For example, it gives you the organic resin. Anytime that you farm wood, instead of getting tree sap, you'll get organic resin. And the organic resin, of course, is used in many recipes in tier 4 and 5. You also have the lithium pickaxe, which gives you the chance to collect ionic dust. And you also have the lithium knife. This lithium knife right here is actually really good as well. It will convert bone and leather into carbon paste. Straight up carbon paste that you can just refine and, smelt in the furnace. Now, the knives and stuff like that, they're okay. The javelins, they're all good. The lithium sickle will actually give you tainted plant DNA. We'll show you what they're all for. And then, of course, ionic dust as well with the sledgehammer. Probably won't show you that one, but you could use that on the nodes that are in the world. Won't spoil it too much, but you can get ionic dust. Ionic dust can be converted over in the chemistry bench, and it's down here towards the bottom of the chemistry bench. You can use ionic dust to make gold ore, copper ore, iron ore. And of course, the tainted DNA plant samples, which you get from the sickle, you can use to make volatile exotic bulbs, which is the red exotics. Straight up getting pure organic resin is pretty nice instead of having to convert it. See, we're getting a decent amount of organic resin whenever we're chopping this tree right here. Looks like about one tree has given us about 34, 30, yeah, about 34 actually. So you can turn most of these on and off with R if you want to turn them on and off. You can turn them on and off and they'll activate or deactivate the lithium tool. When farming crops, we can get that tainted plant DNA, which you can see here with the sickle. And of course, as we mentioned with the carbon paste, you can get carbon paste from skinning animals like this. Most animals, not all of them. But you can get carbon paste, straight up carbon paste from just skinning the animals with a lithium knife. This is really good for making the new carbon set. There's a new carbon set in this expansion that you can make, and it would be great to have this knife to farm out all that carbon. Of course, raptors, they give the most carbon paste and stuff like that. So large creatures or raptors, predators, stuff like that, they'll give you a decent amount of carbon paste. This one gave like 12. All these can be recharged in the charging station if they get low. You can see there's like a little yellow icon around it. That's its charge, and of course right here is its HP. And the HP lasts really long on these tools as well. They're really good as far as their durability. And just as a real quick bonus, we have the chainsaw, the jackhammer, and the nail gun we're going to show you, which is 3 brand new tools in Icarus that you can use as tier 5. And this chainsaw right now it's actually currently empty, so we're going to just take this oil barrel and transfer resource to the chainsaw and fill it up. It does require oil to run the chainsaw, jackhammer. The nail gun is quite cool actually. It uses nails, just straight up iron nails. So we're going to damage this wall right here, but you can shoot the nail gun at a wall like so. You do have to have nails in your inventory, just iron nails, and you can instantly repair a wall from a distance. So you can shoot the walls and stuff like that, and that will instantly repair. 10 per reload. You can sit there and range repair your structures with the nail gun, so it's really good. The chainsaw is really good for wood. You can sit there and mow down the tree in absolutely no time. Like this. You can go through tons of trees and get lots of wood quite quickly. Almost completely farmed it before it fell down to the ground, actually. And of course, the final thing is the jackhammer. It does farm quite quickly. You'll see here, we're going to sit here and chip away at this stone node. Instead of using a pickaxe or something like that, it's probably the fastest way. We just got a lucky strike proc right there, so that does still exist with the jackhammer. And that includes any voxels. That includes like this silica or sulfur. It doesn't matter. You farm it quite quickly. And it looks like we got about 58 silica ore for that. Definitely a faster way to farm. I don't know if it's better than miasmic as far as yield goes, but it's definitely faster. And it's fun. I actually quite enjoy farming this way. And that's going to be it for this video. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Subscribing will get you more Icarus videos just like this one. We have multiple videos planned for Dangerous Horizons, and I'll get to those as soon as I can. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. Peace.